Alright, guys, I had to talk about this. So I started Korra. Legends of Korra, which is the continuation series of the Avatar The Last Airbender. It's in that franchise. I don't know if you would consider it a continuation or not. So there's some old characters, there's a lot of new characters, a lot of relations from old characters. And I have been really, really liking this. I think we're almost done with season 3 going into season 4. Which a lot of people say like 4 and 5 kind of drop, which I'm hoping that's not the case. Um and I think the main reason why I'm liking this a lot more is because it is definitely for an older audience. It's definitely more for like the older teens and stuff like that. Cora's a lot older. There is a big emphasis on relationships. There's a big emphasis on political standings, even more than what they had in Avatar, because I think they were still with Avatar The Last Airbender, they were still trying to keep it cute and friendly because it's still a kids show. Where I think Korra, because you have that little older of an audience that kind of understands a lot more, especially when you're talking about the political stuff that can get really complicated. It's hard to really. I'm not saying dumb it down, but to get it to where like somebody that's like 7 to 8 years old will be entertained by it. There's still and the humor drops it down a little bit because the humor to me there's still a little bit of humor for the younger kids and stuff. I love their facial expressions. They had that in Avatar The Last Airbender. They have it in Korra. The facial expressions are priceless and I think are a lot of what the humor is in both of these. Um and I'm liking seeing how the newer generation is kind of treating this new society. So you went kind of from like imperial China to like the industrial revolution is kind of the main, and it's like I think they said like it's 660 years or something in the future. I can't remember. Um, Aang's kids are pretty old. They're like older adults, so I could see probably around 60. Um, and that you have Korra, but you also have a big establishment of what were these characters like as parents. Because there's a lot of talk, there's a lot of kind of like like not complete parent trauma. Because I between so you have Toph's two daughters, you have Aang's three kids. Um, you don't have anything from Zuko. I don't know, and that's like kind of the thing. Oh, he does mention that he has a daughter, so he has a daughter too that we haven't. As far as where I'm at, like so you have a lot of kind of my parents were so focused on blank. And they between Aang, Katara, Zuko, um Katara's brother, um that whole and Toph, they made a whole city called the Imperial City. Um, and that sounded like their main focus after their journey was making this city where airbenders and non-airbenders could not benders overall and non-benders could live in harmony. And it sounds like to me based off of the experience that you hear from the children that these parents really didn't focus on them. Um, which kind of upsets me because this kind of leaves me thinking like Katara, which she was so good in the original. She gets a big, huge power burst by the end of the series. I kind of compare what they did with her to um Sakura in Naruto, where they take these women that could be very, very useful and just make them mothers. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's like with is that really all they can do? And in Katara's case, like she seems like in the series you do see her as an older woman. Um she seems like she's like the chief or like the main healer of the area in the South Pole. So she still gets to be somebody very important of very high standing, which I think is fantastic. And then Toph becomes a cop. So like she's not like she has situations where you see her with her children, but not very much. Not even in flashbacks. We are starting to get more flashbacks. Um, but I'm thinking the movie that got leaked and all that drama that I'm not gonna go into, I'm hoping covers that middle part that we're really not getting. The sad thing about this is a lot of the story is done through comics or books, and I don't know if they're ever going to animate them. I'm so sorry. They are taking the trash and they're kind of loud. I'm so sorry. Um but like so there's a lot of like dynamics between people that we haven't seen for years. Like I know that they go on way more adventures. I know something happens to Aang at the end. They mentioned that like the beginning of the series. Something happens to Katara's brother that we haven't seen. Sorry that I can't remember his name right now. Um, there's dynamics that are just not really in here. Um, there doesn't seem like there's any bad blood between like all of the original air Avatar game, Team Avatar. There doesn't seem like there was any bad blood. So it's like, okay, why did they separate? I can kind of figure like Toph seems like she just went out on her own just to explore, see the world type of thing. And then Katara and Aang get together and have some kids. And then Zuko goes back to the Fire Nation because he's, leading that. So, but we don't see any of that. Um, and I don't know, like, if I don't know how long they wanted the original series to go. Because I feel like they could have definitely done, like, The Last Airbender and then, like, Last Airbender New Generation. Um, Between this and The Legends of Korra. Like, that could have been a possible situation. Where you got to really see Aang and Katara, like, with their, like, you got to see everybody with their kids. Um, Plus, we never hear about Zuko's mom. Like, that was hinted and then goodbye. So, it's kind of as much as I like Korra, is as much as like I still feel like I need answers from the old show that aren't really being answered. Legend of Korra is like its own separate thing. Like, yes, she's the Avatar, and yes, you still have benders and all that stuff. Um, you have metal building, metal bending. Is a new thing that's really prominent that Toph like plays with like in one scene. In the original that gets to be like really expanded on. Lightning for the firebenders is kind of used a lot more. Um, and I'm hoping like to see some of the training on it. Like you get to kind of see some of the bending stuff. Like cuz you still have Korra like learning how to airbend. So you still get some of that, but in the original series, like you were like going to each individual thing. Like it was more of a mission based. Where Korra is like, I just need to learn air and spirit. Where Aang it was like, I think he got air, like he was an air nomad to begin with, and but the other three were still like that mission. Like he went to the North Pole to learn water. He went to like some of the Earth kingdoms, and then Zuko teaches him fire. Um, and that was, and that's not the case with Korra. Like Korra, like they find her like really really young. They teach her all the elements, and she only has one more. So, and it's really interesting when you go through this series, like there's a lot of Easter eggs, but like if you did not watch the original series, like you could just jump into Korra. I don't know if that's like sacrilegious to say or anything, but if you're like, I don't know if I feel like watching this little kid for a season, like figuring his life out, like that's not my thing. And I felt the same way with Naruto. Like Naruto and Naruto Shippuden, two different feelings of a show. They're so different because you have Naruto like him growing up, trying to find a spot in the world. By Shippuden, he seems like he has it all together for the most part. Like he's still a teenager, but and that's where I like my like kind of more established like I understand myself, but I'm gonna still make mistakes. And I feel like that is Korra to the T. Like I feel like she's like she understands like I kind of suck at this. I kind of suck at being like the avatar and stuff. Like I'm not making all the right decisions and everything. And I feel like that's okay. And that's something that I feel like AIM was somewhat like AIM was like such a natural avatar. Like it seemed like he was making like mostly the right decisions and all this other stuff. Where Korra is kind of like, I'm gonna just blast this door open and I will figure it out. Which is kind of more of how I like my characters. Um, she kind of reminds me of like a Luffy where like they just burst in and they hope for the best. And the relationships are a lot better. I feel like they're more balanced. They're like there's an understanding to them. Unlike if you're an Aang and Katara shipper, I'm so happy for you. But I so feel like she could have done better. And I might one day like talk about how I feel about the relationships in Naruto, but I felt the same way. Like I felt like all the women could do better. um but they were shipping that from day one. And I personally, I would have rather her personally with Zuko. Um, but at the same time, like having like a water and a firebender like ruling the Fire Nation, I don't know if that would have worked out very well, like politically. Um, it could have given the message of what Aang was trying to say the whole time, that we're all equals, but I just politically, I just don't think it would have worked out. So when you have Korra potentially with another firebender, like I was like, oh, this is gonna work out, hopefully. Um, and I mean, it still could. I'm in the middle of 3 to 4, and they could not. I'm not shipping it as hard as Katara with Zuko. I really like that mixture. I really like the mixture of somebody that, and this comes like from my dark romantasy, like he's your worst enemy, but like he's growing to become something better. Um where and this and Aang does not feel like he had any development. Like even his son and Korra has more development, in my opinion. Like he really learns about how to be a better teacher, how to respect his siblings and how they felt growing up. And how to be a better father than what his father was. Even though I think him and his father are kind of in a similar situation where um where they were both teachers, they were both, trying to make the world a better place, they were trying to find more airbenders. Um and then it's like you have Boomy, which he was like the eldest but disappointed his father. So you are seeing Aang in like more of, I would hate to say like a negative light when you're talking about like his daughter and his two sons, but you can really see that separation. Like you can definitely tell that his daughter that is a waterbender takes more after Katara. Um and she talks about like you know she talks about she wasn't invited on trips. Boomy wasn't invited on trips. It was just him. And it's just like I like that. I wish we got to see that more, because like my biggest complaint about Avatar The Last Airbender was that the character growth for some of the characters was really lacking. Like you had Zuko's like 360, and that was amazing. Um but you like I didn't see growth with on any of the other characters. Like, and this is what I like about Korra is Korra herself is always growing. Like she's always learning new things, and she's learning how to not become as reactive. She's trying to she's learning how to take in situations. I feel like by the time like we have the 5th season, like I'm really hoping like I see that calm, like kind of more like Avatar thing that kind of Aang has. And Aang was kind of scary too. Like when he finds the power to take away bending, like, we think he only did it the one time, and then you find out, you know, things in Korra. And bloodbending was such a big thing in the first season, which I was kind of enjoying because bloodbending was so interesting to me. In the original series, that one episode that we got was so interesting. And I felt like it was a lot of character development for Katara, seeing the darker side of waterbending. Because, in all honesty, waterbending and airbending feel like they're so peaceful. Like, the people, like, seem like they're so peaceful. And in Korra, you see that darker side. You see the flipped coin of these two. And then, because it was like fire and earth were like violent, especially the Fire Nation as a nation was built on like an army. Like, you're learning how to firebend to be destructive. And in Korra, you're seeing that flip coin, like where they're using lightning to like do industrial stuff and make the world better. And it was it's very interesting because that's what I like. I want to see both sides. Like, I want to see both sides of all the elements, because if you think of society, we're not just one side of the coin. A lot of us, depending on the situation, will go to our darker side. And that's, to me, what Korra does, is that she's more showing what benders actually are. Um, and then you get, by the end of it, like, you have the spirit realm a little bit more connected. I'm trying not to give too many spoilers away when I'm discussing this. I'm just trying to give you a general view of how I feel. I love Korra. I think you could tell that the writers like learned from what was kind of lacking in the last Airbender. Like, they really put it into Korra, and I think they did a really good job. I will come on here like when I finish it and give my full thoughts on everything. But otherwise, you have a lovely rest of your day, and I will see you in a video coming real soon. Bye.